we can just go ahead and talk about that. I don't know, Brogan, maybe what are your thoughts on the fruit of the spirit of joy?
Right now on this podcast, I feel joy.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 2. This is episode 2 of the new podcast, Locked In, where we dive into spiritual conversations. We have a special guest with us today. We have Brogan Bay. Brogan, what is up?
Hello.
So, guys, Brogan is a Christ follower, a podcaster, a high schooler, and overall, he's one of our good friends. Brogan, welcome to the podcast. It's good to have you.
Thank you for having me on this podcast.
All right, a little bit of a recap from last week. Last week, we talked about love, and we talked about the word in the Greek is agape. And we were saying in the Strong's definition, it means affection or benevolence. What you could say is loving kindness, especially. I think this is interesting. It's saying it's like a love feast. So it's almost like a feast of charity. So it's almost like a group of believers like coming together. And I think it's interesting that this is the same word used in Romans 5:8, where it says, but God commendeth his love toward us, and that while you're at sinners, Christ died for us. But the applications are different since we're not, God. So God's, working in us through his spirit and continuing to teach us love. And so today we're going to talk about the fruit of the spirit of joy. And Solomon can kick us off with reading Galatians 5:20, verse 22.
All right, so the verse we're going to be looking at is Galatians 5, verses 22 and 23. It says, the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. And it says, against such there is no law. So today we're going to be diving in the fruit of the Spirit, joy. So,
Okay, so the Greek word for joy, I looked this up actually on like Blue Letter Bible, and the Greek word for it is pronounced, I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's kara. And in the Strong's definition, like just to give us some like context of what it means cheerfulness or calm delight, and then it's saying something like gladness or exceeding joy. And then, we can just go ahead and talk about that. I don't know, Brogan, maybe what are your thoughts on the fruit of the spirit of joy, and what are some things what are some things that come to mind when you think about that?
Right now on this podcast, I feel joy.
Yeah.
I have a lot of
by the way,
fun.
guys, we're actually recording this one day before Thanksgiving, which is a time of joy.
Speaking of Thanksgiving, what's one thing you are thankful for?
I'm thankful for my podcast.
My
podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm thankful for our plate. No, I'm kidding.
Bro. Okay.
All right, so let's get back on track here. So here's some verses, guys, from the Old Testament that kind of just help us have a little bit of some Old Testament background on this. Obviously, the fruits of the Spirit didn't necessarily like exist as far as the title, but the concepts still remain the same, as God's joy always existed since the beginning of time. So one is in Psalm 16:11, and it says, thou hast made known to me the ways of life. Thou wilt fill me with joy with thy countenance. At thy right hand there are delights forever. So David's basically just saying here that the Lord has made known to him the will or the way of life, which would be, I'd say, salvation. And then he's saying here that God gives us joy through his countenance, and by his right hand, basically our blessings forever, basically. So
I think joy, I think we were just talking about this last week, almost like, or in the same way as like love, and people will say peace. Peace isn't a feeling, you could say it's a person, like Jesus Christ is the person. I think one of the verses that is kind of relates to this idea of the Lord's joy is in Matthew 25:23, and this is speaking of the servants, how much we'll do in this life for the Lord, and in this context it's speaking about servants and a master and how much they've profited him with what he has given them. And it says, his Lord said unto his servant, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee rule over many things. Enter thou into the joy of the Lord. And I think this is kind of showing the joy of the Lord. Like the joy is of the Lord. And it's, it's not just a feeling,
Yeah, like the Lord gives us joy.
Because, he is joy.
Yeah, I was thinking of a verse. I don't know if Jason has this in the notes, but it says, rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. And there's another verse that says, give thanks in all circumstances. You could say joy and thankfulness kind of a little bit go together. As far as joy, I'd say is the outcome of being thankful in a sense, because you will experience joy. If you're spoiled and discontent, that's going to lead to bitterness and unsatisfaction. So I'd say, like, when it says word rejoice, it doesn't necessarily mean like I feel like being joyful. It's also like because of Christ and salvation. I heard a pastor speak on this, and he was saying we can rejoice always just because of what God has done for us on the cross. And so it's not just like this, like, oh, I feel like jumping up and down. Sometimes at moments we'll feel like life won't make sense, but it's saying like eternally we have joy because of Christ.
Okay. Would you say then that being joy is being content with the things that you have?
I'd honestly say, yeah. I mean, you look at someone like the Apostle Paul, and you read his letters, and he was saying he was joyful even though he was in prison, and it's because of Christ. So that's like, no matter his circumstances, he's like joyful, in Christ, and like that the work that's happening, through the gospel or through the churches that he's impacting. I'd say one verse that I feel like is really key is Hebrews 12:2, and mostly everybody has heard it. And I think this kind of ties in the point of like, how we're talking about the fruits of the Spirit. So obviously they're Christ's fruits. And so Hebrews 12:2 says, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. And this verse is really key because it's saying like, Christ died for us because of the joy set before him, which was saving us. Like that was his gift. And I think it's cool because it correlates between, it's not like God's asking us to be joyful and like he hasn't gone through it either.
Yeah.
Brogan, what are your thoughts on joy? What would you say if you had to sum it up in like a sentence? What would you say when the Bible says
joy.
One of the fruits of the Spirit is joy? What kind of joy would you think? What comes to mind?
What do you mean?
Like, would you say like, do you think of like spiritual like obedience and rejoicing like spiritually, or do you think of like what comes to mind when you hear the word joy in this verse?
Well, obviously, happiness. Well, this gonna connect this, but happiness is temporarily. Joy is
Eternal.
Yeah,
Or
it's
forever.
more long term. I
Yeah.
mean, not long term, but yeah, like just.
It's like the song that says, "Have you happier than you know it? Clap your hands."
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm just kidding.
Bro.
Yeah, but I would definitely say that it's a different kind of joy, as is all these are. Well, like, even like in self-control, you think like, oh, self-control, maybe like not playing video games,
Not
so
robbing
much.
a bank.
I think
Yeah,
the conclusion we can get from this is that joy comes from the Lord. And I was going to bring it up, but we're not going to have time to read it. But one of them is when the wise men are coming to see Jesus. It says when they saw the star, they were filled with joy. And it's like joy is of the Lord. And I think it's something that we have to pray, that God will produce in us. But like we were saying, it's also a posture. Just like no matter what the circumstances is, you can have joy because of Christ. I think that's going to wrap up the biblical section for this period. Now we're going to move on to a little bit of a Q&A with Brogan Bay.
All
Yeah.
right.
Oh wow!
So
I'm
Brogan,
excited.
we have some questions for you. Answer them, okay?
I mean, I'll try.
So,
right.
Brogan, the first question I got for you is, what made you want to start a podcast? By the way, guys, for a little background, Brogan has his own podcast. He actually had us on a few weeks ago. It's called Timeless Talks with Brogan Bay. Make sure to go check that. We'll have that linked in the description below. We'll have his, he's on Spotify,
Apple,
YouTube, all that good stuff.
Yep.
So make sure to check him out after. But Brogan, what encouraged you to start a podcast? And what was like the motivation there?
So in the summertime, like I forget, maybe late July, Shepard Naylor, he texts me and he says, "Do you want to start a podcast?"
Okay, by the way, this is one of your buddies too, for just people, people
like,
don't know.
Friend from church, Shepard Naylor. He goes, "You want to start a podcast?" And I'm like, "Sure, with who?" And he goes, "Me,
Not you.
and Philip." Yeah, I would hope so. And
Just kidding.
I was like, okay, yeah, shoot. So we tell Philip. Philip's down. We finally set a date to record this podcast. Had no equipment, just an Apple computer. Recorded on that, and we were gonna send it out. But Philip's like, okay, we probably should edit this a little bit more, because his voice in the podcast was very quiet, and it sounded awful. It was terrible. And so then we were like, okay, we're just like, we couldn't find time.
We're just
where
bad
we
at
could get
this.
together.
We have no talent whatsoever.
Yeah. We were just, it was very, we didn't really have time to get together and record this. So I was like, okay, we might still do this, but I'm going to start my own podcast. And then a few weeks later, they're like, we're just not going to do the podcast. And then,
Okay.
yeah. And
So
then I started my own podcast.
You're going
recorded that.
solo.
Yeah.
So that's how that started.
That's
And,
cool.
Yeah.
Sick. So ever since then, now you have a podcast.
Now I have a podcast.
Sick. All right. Next question. So a few weeks back, you had mentioned and shared with us that you wanted everything in your podcast to point back to God. How does that mindset guide your future episodes?
What do you mean?
Like, is there like do you kind of like have a goal kind of in like, maybe who you have on and like kind of like how does having that, what you had said, like how like you want your podcast to be always like give glory back to God. How does that like mindset like and focus maybe or like spiritual?
How does it work hand in hand with the podcast?
Yeah. How do you incorporate
Okay,
that?
I would say this. If something great happens to you, and like for instance, Blake Bay is a gifted runner. He's my brother, and he is going to make it to state, and we hope NX him. So Blake is very humble about his victories. He gives always credit back to God, and when you're going through these victories and you're taking credit for your own, I guess it's really not your own stuff because God has let you.
You're saying like you're going to give the credit back to God because He's going to allow you to like have the platform.
God has been
views.
gracious and merciful to me to let me run this podcast, and yeah.
You're always going to point back to God. Yeah. Okay. Question number 3: what software and mic are you currently using right now to record your episodes?
I use Logic Pro.
Nice.
Yeah, and the microphone, it's really weird because on Amazon it is peak. It's very low budget. It's
But
like
it sounds good though, right?
yeah, I think it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Like usually you can
I
buy
like how bad the audio quality sounds. No, I'm just kidding.
you can buy like usually something that's really like cheap on Amazon and get like 80% the like quality that you would from a good solid mic.
Yeah.
And so
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Is that why your audio sounds so bad right now?
Yeah.
No, guys,
kidding,
go
I'm
check them
kidding.
out. Solid podcast.
Yeah.
Audio quality's good. If you could be on one interview, or if you could interview one major pastor or Christian leader on your podcast, who would that be?
There's a few.
Joel Steen, right?
What?
Start it off.
Yeah.
No.
I would say like can they be like you like a Christian leader?
Like Kenneth.
Someone
Kenneth
like a
Copeland.
Christian like
Just
role
kidding.
model like
Okay.
in the Christian
3
community.
people. Johnny Artavanis.
Johnny, we're
Johnny.
coming for you. Watch
Yeah,
out. No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Forrest Frank
Oh yeah.
and Toby Mac.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, guys,
Okay.
just not that long ago, he just literally mocked me. He says, "Is all you listen to Forrest Frank?" And then I love how he says he wanted to interview.
I'm not saying that Forrest Frank's a bad
No,
thing.
I know. I'm
saying,
just kidding. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah.
Open your vocabulary of music art. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Do whatever
That's
you
a
want.
conversation for another day.
Yeah.
If you could pick one person out of those 3, who would you think it'd be?
Johnny Artavanis. Fun fact, actually, both of my cousins go to Stonebridge.
To
Dude.
Johnny's church.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Tennessee.
That's cool.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Fun fact: we've actually talked to Johnny.
Whoa!
No.
No way!
Yeah, dude, Johnny.
Johnny is a cool guy.
You guys
Johnny
are tight,
makes-
right?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
guys are
yeah,
like
yeah,
I just
best
DM'd him
friends.
yesterday. Actually, I did.
Yeah.
All
Guys,
right,
Johnny
all
does solid
Next question?
podcasts. Go
Cool.
check him out.
Dialed in. It's on all the platforms. That podcast.
Are we
on
really
the
giving a
podcast.
shout out to somebody who hasn't even been on the podcast?
Yeah.
He- Hopefully, he'll be maybe a feature guest. We'll see. We'll work it
Okay.
out. So Brogan, how do you choose people you want to interview, and what's your main goal when you have a guest on?
So usually it looks like this. I'm rushing to find somebody on. I've probably got 2 or 3 days until I have to get out an episode out, and I'm just like rushing through. I'm like, who am I gonna have on? Who am I gonna have on? And then my mom will just be like, have this person on. I'm like, okay, let's just
Yeah.
And then I find out what they're into, what they do, and yeah.
So who's the person? What's your latest episode out right now? Who did you interview?
Can you
It
just
should
close
be
up?
out by the time this
yeah.
episode's out. It should be out. I just had Tucker Clark and Alex Inouye, 2 of my small.
Oh
group
yeah,
members on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Alex was telling me about that. That's sick.
Yeah.
What do you guys? Can you like leak what you're talking about? I mean, it'll be out by then. but-
Yeah, it'll be out. We talked about a little bit about teaching, and then I had a ghost pepper on there, very very spicy. And then he went through some rapid fire questions. So,
Sweet.
and then
So
we
you had
talked
2
a
people
little,
on that
a
one.
little tiny about how brain rot should stop.
Another question I have. Do you have actually any questions for us?
Yeah.
Since you're on the first time.
What was your inspiration for the podcast?
Inspiration for the podcast.
Actually, this guy was the inspiration. We know we were on Brogan's podcast. For those who do not know, Brogan, like we said, has a podcast. We were on it, and after doing yours, we're like, you know what? Why not? We used to do those
Bible devotional
Bible
videos.
videos, you know,
Mhm.
and we haven't kind of had like a lot of time right now. when it comes to doing it, we kind of had a change in direction of how we want to do it. We wanted it to look better.
More
so we're like,
professional.
why not start a podcast? We can do clips of the videos, little Bible Devo videos, and then we can have guests on. Yeah, so that's kind of
First,
I'm flattered.
First guest on the podcast.
First and inspiration.
Yeah. Snaps.
Yeah, snaps, everything.
Yeah.
All right, and guys, just also always a reminder, merch linked in the description. Go get your elect hat.
An elect hat has a W watermark on the side, so everybody knows whose hat it is. Verse on the back.
I love that. I need a hat.
We're gonna get this kid one soon.
I will.
They do
buy
cost
one.
money, so that's one thing to consider.
Yeah, go
That is
get
a beautiful hat.
If you want, Anchored by Christ t-shirt also. Yeah, Brogan, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Yep, and
super sweet. And as always,
we'll see you guys next
you gotta
time.
send us off this time.
All right. Follow me on the podcast, and they will see you in the next episode.
All right, thanks so much, guys, for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.